So, have you ever found yourself looking at a company, maybe a huge global one you use every day, or even just that busy cafe down the street, and wondered what really makes it tick? I mean, beyond the obvious, like making money, what's the real purpose? What's driving their decisions? Well, today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that, the fundamental nature and purpose of business. Our mission really is to cut through all the jargon and get to the core reasons why businesses even start, how they, spell out their ambitions and what goals shape their path. Think of this as your kind of essential guide to understanding the bedrock of the commercial world. Hopefully, it gives you a fresh perspective.
It's a really fascinating area, actually, because we'll pretty quickly move beyond just thinking it's all about profit. We're going to uncover this intricate web of motivations, different structures that guide everything from a tiny startup with a new idea to, well, giants like Disney, Microsoft, you name it. The goal here is for you to walk away with a really solid but also, accessible graph of what truly fuels the engine of commerce.
Okay, great. So let's kick things off with the absolute basics then. Fundamentally, why does any business actually come into being?
Right. At its very heart, a business exists simply to provide goods or services, things that customers either need or perhaps just want. And these customers, it's important to remember, are always just individuals like you and me. It could be other businesses needing parts, or say government departments needing specific services.
It's about spotting a need and then, well, stepping up to fill it, isn't it?
Exactly. Which brings up an interesting point. What's the initial spark?
Yeah.
What gets it started? And very often our sources point to the entrepreneur. Someone who has an idea, maybe a particular skill, or they just see a gap in the market and nobody else has noticed. They take a risk, often a big one, hoping that their idea catches on and, yes, eventually makes profit. Even the biggest companies we see today, they almost all started small, often as really uncertain ventures, just driven by that one person's vision, trying to fill a specific need.
Precisely. So that initial spark happens, the business gets going, starts providing something people value. What's the immediate next step? Or maybe the next hurdle?
Well, straight away, it's about survival. I mean,
Yeah.
for any business to keep going, it absolutely has to bring in enough money, enough revenue to cover all its costs. And yes, make a profit that allows it to continue. If it can't do that, the lights just go out. Simple as that.
Right. But as you hinted, just keeping the lights on, just surviving, that's usually not the end goal, is it?
No, not at all. Survival is critical. It's the baseline. But once a business finds some stability, its aims almost always get bigger. They might start focusing on growth, maybe getting a bigger slice of the market, or perhaps offer more products, diversifying, or sometimes they even start looking at contributing to the community, doing things beyond just selling their product. And this evolution, it really shows that every business, doesn't matter if it's big or small, tends to develop some kind of deeper purpose, a mission that goes beyond just the day-to-day buying and selling.
Okay, so if they develop this deeper purpose, how do they actually, capture that? How do they communicate it?
Ah, good question. This is where we get into things like mission statements and business objectives. A mission statement, essentially, is a qualitative statement. It's about the long-term aim, the fundamental reason the business exists. It's there to tell everyone, employees, customers, investors, what the core purpose and intentions are.
It's like their North Star guiding everything.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. And what's really insightful is how that big, broad mission then gets translated into, well, actionable goals. That's where business objectives come in. They're the specific steps designed to actually achieve that mission. And typically you see them in a kind of hierarchy. You'll have corporate objectives, the big goals for the whole company. And then underneath those, you have functional objectives for specific departments like, say, marketing or finance or operations.
Where it all connects up.
Precisely. The structure ensures that what the marketing team is trying to achieve, for example, directly helps the company meet its overall corporate goals, which, in turn, fulfill the main mission. It's all designed to flow together.
Okay, let's make this a bit more concrete. Can you give us some real-world examples? The sources mentioned some, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Think about Disney. Their mission is stated pretty simply as to provide quality entertainment for the people of the world.
Right.
Or Microsoft. Theirs is about enabling people and businesses throughout the world to realize their full potential.
You can really see how those broad statements would guide decisions, can you? Like every movie Disney makes or every piece of software from Microsoft.
Definitely. And it's not just those tech and media giants.
Yeah.
Think about Waterstones, the bookstore chain. Their mission focuses on providing the widest choice, great value, and expert advice. That shapes everything from how they stock their shelves to how they train their staff.
Mm.
Or BT, the telecoms company, talking about total dedication to the quality of service. ASDA, the supermarket, aiming to be the UK's best value retailer.
McDonald's wanting to be your favorite place. H&M with fashion and quality at best price.
Exactly. Even hairdressers like Tony and Guy aiming to grow the best, most profitable, and most creative hairdressing company. Each one is clearly stating its core purpose. They're not just vague slogans, they're meant to be guiding principles.
But why bother? Why formally write down a mission and objectives? Especially for bigger companies. Doesn't everyone sort of know what they're doing?
Well, you'd think so, but for larger organizations, it's actually crucial. Firstly, it helps coordinate everyone's activity. Imagine thousands of employees who need a common direction. It provides that clear, unifying path. It also massively improves efficiency because people aren't pulling in different directions or wasting effort on things that don't align with the core goals.
And I suppose it motivates people too, gives them a sense of shared purpose.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Employees feel more engaged when they understand the bigger picture they're contributing to. And it even helps externally attracting investors or partners who understand and support the company's vision and values. It really provides a framework for focused action.
Okay, that makes sense. But then how do businesses make sure these objectives aren't just, nice words on a poster? How do they make them effective targets?
Right, that's a key question. And this is where a really useful framework called SMART comes in. You've probably heard of it. SMART. It stands for specific, measurable, agreed, realistic, and time-bound. It's a very powerful, very practical tool for setting goals that actually lead somewhere.
Smart. Okay, let's unpack that a bit. As for specific, that means it has to be really clear, right? No vagueness.
Exactly. Not just grow the business, but maybe increase market share in the teenage demographic, something precise.
Okay. M for measurable, so you need to be able to track it.
Yep. Quantifiable. How will you know if you've achieved it? So increase market share by 15%, not just increase market share. You need a number.
Got it. A for agreed.
This is about buy-in. The manager setting the objective and the teams who have to deliver it need to agree it's the right goal. That fosters commitment.
Makes sense. Or for realistic, so achievable.
Right. It needs to be challenging, yes, but not impossible given the company's resources and the market situation. Setting impossible goals just demotivates people.
And finally, T for time bound. Give it a deadline.
Crucial. Increase market share by 15% within 2 years. That creates urgency and a clear point when you assess success or failure. It's like a checklist for making objectives actually work.
And these SMART objectives, they don't just sit there on their own, do they? They feed into something bigger.
Precisely. When you zoom out, these well-defined SMART objectives become the building blocks for the business's overall strategy. Strategy is basically the medium to long-term plan. It's the how. How are we going to achieve these SMART objectives? What resources, money, people, equipment do we need?
So the strategy is the roadmap to reach the destination set by the SMART objectives.
Exactly. Without SMART objectives to aim for, any strategy is just, well, wishful thinking. It lacks concrete targets.
Okay. So we've talked about missions and SMART objectives. Now, while every business is different, our sources mention some common objectives that seem to pop up again and again, don't they? And it's definitely more than just profit.
Absolutely. And the first one, profit, is actually quite nuanced. While we often hear about profit maximization as the ultimate goal, in reality, many businesses aim for what you might call a satisfactory level of profit, or maybe profit optimization. Meaning they need to make enough profit to be sustainable, to reward investors, to reinvest, but maybe they balance that against other goals, like growing market share or being seen as ethical. They don't always squeeze every last penny of profit if it damages something else.
Right. And measuring profit involves looking at revenue versus costs, fixed costs, variable costs, the whole picture.
Exactly. It's a constant balancing act, considering competition, the economy, everything.
Okay, what's next after profit?
Growth is another huge one. This can mean lots of things, though. It could be about increasing their share of the market, like we mentioned, or it could be about boosting total sales revenue, opening more stores or offices, or even just hiring more people.
And how do they grow?
Well, it can happen organically, just selling more, expanding gradually, or it can happen much faster through things like takeovers or mergers, buying other companies. And very often, growth relies on keeping some of the profit made and reinvesting it back into the business to fund that expansion, using today's success to build for tomorrow.
Makes sense. What else?
For some businesses, Especially new ones or those in really tough markets, survival is often the absolute top priority, at least in the short term.
Just staying afloat?
Pretty much. It's about getting enough sales to cover the basic costs, making sure you have enough stock, having good staff who can handle challenges. It's about keeping the doors open, especially when things are uncertain, like during an economic downturn.
Okay, survival. And linked to that, I imagine, is cash flow.
Vital. Absolutely vital. Healthy cash flow just means having enough actual money coming in day to day, week to week to pay the immediate bills, paying suppliers for raw materials, paying rent, and maybe most importantly, paying salaries.
Because profit on paper isn't the same as cash in the bank, right?
Exactly. It's a classic business problem. A company can look profitable in its accounts, but still go under if it runs out of cash to pay its immediate debts. Cash flow is king, as they say.
Right. Okay, so we have profit, growth, survival, cash flow, all quite financial. But are businesses only about the money?
Well, that's a great question, and the sources suggest increasingly no. There's a growing emphasis on social and ethical objectives. Now, obviously, you have charities and nonprofits like Shelter, whose main goal is social relieving hardship in their case.
Sure.
But even for-profit companies are focusing more here. Our sources mention H&M working on long-term improvement for people and the environment in their supply chain, or McDonald's getting involved in local community stuff like litter picking drives or sponsoring kids' sports teams.
And is that just good PR? Or is there more to it?
It's often a bit of both, I think. Yes, it improves their image, builds goodwill, enhances their reputation, but it can also attract customers and employees who care about those things. It can become part of their brand identity and actually contribute to long-term success. It creates a kind of virtuous cycle.
Interesting. Are there any other common objectives we should mention?
Yeah, a couple more often come up. Diversification is one.
Yeah.
That's about moving into new products or entirely new markets,
Why do that?
mainly to spread risk. If your original market suddenly declines, having other sources of income can cushion the blow.
Hmm.
It's about not having all your eggs in one basket.
Okay, yeah.
Another one is improving market standing. This is more about perception being seen as the leader in your field, maybe the most innovative or the most trusted. It's about reputation and competitive positioning.
Right. And finally,
Finally, and this connects back to the social and ethical point, there's an increasing focus